Hello chess friends and welcome to Yazardov's chess channel and welcome to the Altibox Norway Chess tournament in 2020. We are now in the round 4 and in the round 4 I think we have witnessed one of the wildest games so far in the tournament. It was Levon Aronian versus Alireza Firouzja in the Armageddon game. And this Armageddon game was really incredible because the evaluation jumped from +10 to -6, so many mistakes, many blunders happened, many counter-attack possibilities for both sides. It was really one of the greatest tactical games so far, and we couldn't expect less because we all know Levon Aronian is of course a great tactician. He searches really for these opportunities to create really these tactical battles. On the other hand, Alireza Firouzja also a great tactician. He searches always for imbalanced positions. He always searches for pawn breakthrough motifs, for this common tactical ideas that can happen in chess. So that's why I really like this game, although it had many mistakes. But the Armageddon game is of course a blitz format game in which white has 10 minutes on the clock, black has only 7 minutes on the clock. So it was really, as I said, the wildest game so far. So let's check out now the game. E4 played by Aronian. We have c6, d4, d5. The Caruana, and Alireza proved himself, I think, so far in this opening. He had some great games in the Caruana. He also outplayed Jan-Krzysztof Duda in the first round. In this opening, we have knight to d2, and now d takes e4, knight to e4, and now bishop to f5. This is still common theory, of course. Knight to g3, bishop to g6, and now h4, h5, the common attacking idea against the light square bishop of black. So h6, we have knight to f3, knight to d7, and now bishop to d3. Also, there is this possibility to play h5 and then bishop to d3. Here, Levon Aronian plays this early bishop to d3. We have bishop to d3, and now queen to d3. e6, also a natural move of the Caruana, and now bishop to f4. Here, knight from g to f6, developing the knight, and queenside castling, bishop to e7. Okay, well, let's stop a little bit and evaluate the position. Still, white has, of course, the opportunity to push further with the move h5, but what I liked about Levon Aronian's setup is that he is delaying this h5 move because he wants to do something else. He wants to do g4 and then g5. He wants to have the support around the square g5, and then if black castles, then to open the h file. He doesn't want to create this paralyzing idea. The h5 move in the Caruana is basically an idea to stop a little bit the progress on the king side, and here really to paralyze the whole king side with the move h5. Here Levon Aronian will try really a different idea, a more interesting idea, I think, because after the move h5 the position is more static, but after potential g4, g5 pawn breakthrough, the position is much more dynamic. So that's why I love these two players. They're simply searching for dynamics. They're simply searching for attacking possibilities. So here Levon Aronian plays the move knight to f1. He is getting out of basic theory of the Caruana. This move hasn't been played so far in chess history, but if you think about it more, it's a very interesting idea. We wanted to play, as I said, g4, g5. Although it is, maybe the evaluation is now equalized, but in blitz, you of course want to create some madness on the board. You want to create attacking opportunities, and white really needs to create something because white needs to win the game in the Armageddon. If the game is draw, then black wins the game. So here, queen to a5, king to b1, rook to d8. So you see this delaying idea of white, this remaneuver of the knight gives now black the opportunity to counterattack. And here Alireza found a great idea to get first the rook on the d file, where the rook is of course indirectly attacking the queen on the d file. Here Alireza delayed a little bit the situation, the castling situation. He now wants to play this very aggressive knight to c5 move. So bishop to c1, again reposition move by Levon Aronian, which gives now really the opportunity for Alireza to attack the queen. We have queen to e2 and now knight to a4. Better idea is maybe to get the knight on here on e4 because the knights are very controlling now the center of the board, and now we should search simply for c5 pawn breakthrough motifs. We can also use now the bishop as an attacker, so I think here knight to e4 gives black a more compact position because the knight is of course good here on a4. It creates attacking possibilities, but in some occasions I've seen that many times when you don't do something with that knight, this knight could be out of game because it's of course on the edge of the board. So when you play the knight on the edge of the board, you have to create some madness with that knight. On the other hand, if you don't then you could have problems to get your knight back into the game. So c4 played by Levon Aronian. We have castling. And now queen to c2. Here Levon Aronian wants, of course, to get the queen as a defensive piece in front of the king, because there are always these ideas to play something like queen to b6 followed with knight to c3. That's, I think, the main idea. Maybe even something like bishop to a3. These are the tactical threats. This knight can also come into the game in some occasions as an attacker, so that's why first Levon Aronian plays this defensive move. But not that it's only a defensive move, it's also a counter-attacking move, because as I said, we want to play g4, g5. That's our main attacking possibility here from white perspective. And you see now with the support of the rook, there could be really some tactical threats around the square h7. So c5. Played by Alireza Firouzja. We have bishop to d2, so that's why I didn't like this move bishop to f1 first. So you see, you have already played bishop to f4, then bishop to c1, bishop to d2. You have played twice with your 3 times with the same piece. So a better idea here is simply to proceed knight to e3, and after something like c takes d4, knight to d4, and queen to b6, here comes, I think, the main attacking theme of white is the move knight to f5. Here after e takes f5, we can simply take, and now at least we have provoked further weaknesses here on the king side. We have at least created the double pawn structure, but the main the good thing about this line, I think we have finally connected our rooks. The knight is on a centralized square, and I'm not sure if black would give up the dark square bishop here for the knight. This knight is very cool, it's very centralized, and now we could also target the f5. So bishop to d2 in inaccuracy, because here queen to a6 was played now, and simply b3. We have knight to b6. Here Alireza missed maybe after the move knight to b3. He shouldn't proceed with the move knight to b6. A cool idea here is simply to proceed c takes d4. And if you take, then you get rook to c8, an attack on the pawn on c4. You cannot defend it. If you take, for instance, this pawn, then rook to c4, and you have to move the queen. But now rook takes a4, and now I think white has many troubles here to defend this position. We can get now this knight into the game. The a2 is a long-term weakness. We can also get this rook into the game, and see in this particular line white hasn't made progress. White didn't attack the king side so far, so I think black is simply faster. So although down a piece, but this knight still has to move somewhere in order to get the rook connection. But I think here black is much faster. And as I said, b3, knight to b6, a retreating move. Still, it's an equal position here. Bishop to c3. Now, finally, Levon Aronian gets the bishop where it's supposed to be on this long diagonal. We have c takes d4, knight to d4, and now knight from b to d7. Knight to e3. Okay, from this point on, I think Levon Aronian has regrouped. He has now a solid position, 2 centralized knights. The bishop on this long diagonal. As I said, the rooks are connected, the queen is good. Now, as I said, main motif g4, g5. Knight to c5 played by Alireza Firouzja. We have g4 attacking immediately the king side. We have knight to e4, and now bishop to b2. Knight to d6, retreating with the knight, getting also this knight towards the center, and maybe prepare something like bishop to f6, where we could attack also this diagonal and compete with the bishop on b2. g5. This is now already a better position here for Levon Aronian, because, as I said, Alireza played this passive move knight to b6. He didn't see this tactic in this format. He had only 7 minutes on the clock. You cannot see really the best tactics. g5 here already, as I said, a great game now for white. h5, Alireza is simply passing through, and now we have queen to e2. A better idea is, I think, here simply to proceed with the move g6, because you have to split the pawn structure in front of the king. The g6 move now is our main attacking theme, where we could provide further weaknesses, getting use of the g file, getting this knight somewhere somehow into the game. Also, some knight to f5 again motifs are possible to simply proceed and create further weaknesses. But here, okay, a queen to e2 was played. It's not that this move is losing. It's also a good idea here to attack the weak h5 pawn. Here we have knight to e4. A better idea is simply to protect the pawn with the move g6. You have to create a static position. But again, knight to f5. That's as I said, the main attacking team that Levon Aronian has prepared here. Here after knight to f5, we have knight to f5, and the problem is now you have to take with your e pawn. You cannot take with the g pawn because the queen will come into the game very, very actively. You see there are also some checkmate threats. You could only proceed with move like something like f6, but again, after something like g takes f6, rook to g1, black is simply lost. So in this position, black would have to recapture with the e pawn, but now we can simply take, and still you have really some dark square problems here to handle. So as I said, the knight to e4, it's even worse because now we have rook to g1. We can again here proceed with the move g6. Better idea is again simply to take queen to h5 followed with g6, and I think black is simply lost. So you see how problematic this Caro-Kann can be. Alireza missed his tactics in the beginning. Now he has really several troubles here to handle. Knight to e4 in the game, rook to g1. It's again also a good move, but as I said, queen to h5 maybe slightly better. Queen to a5, and now rook to d3, preventing some fork ideas here on c3. We want to have, of course, the bishop still on the board, because not that this bishop is only attacking the g7 after potential knight to c3. Here, and bishop takes c3 and queen to c3, we could then also face some dark square problems. So that's why rook to d3 so far a good defensive move. Knight to c5, rook to d2, and again knight to e4, but now rook to c2, and now never this knight will never jump on c3 again. Now Levon Aronian has protected, and again I think white has here a comfortable game. So rook to e8, now comes really the critical moment of the game. This wasn't again the best of moves by Alireza Firouzja, because here Levon Aronian had immediately winning chance again with the move g6. Here also knight to e6 is a possibility, simply splitting the pawns after f takes e6. Again, we can simply take this pawn, play something like g6, and creating really this dangerous checkmate threats. But in the game, after the move rook to e8, Levon Aronian plays queen to h5. Still, again, I'm repeating myself a little bit, but again, white has a comfortable game. But here knight to d2 was played. We have king to c1, and now comes knight to e4. Believe me or not, the evaluation here is +10 for white. So white has a completely winning endgame, because now here after the move knight to e4, here knight from d to f5 is possible. We can again play this common tactical motif. If knight takes f5 happens, now finally g6 after something like maybe queen to a2, it's of course checkmate. If you try, for instance, something like f takes g6, we can simply take queen takes g6, and you see now you have this tactical threats around the square g7, and this is simply unprotectable. But in the game, after the move knight to e4, now it's unbelievable what Levon Aronian does. He plays the move c5, and this gives now a +7 for black. In one move the evaluation jumped from +10 to -7. So c5, a great blunder here by Levon Aronian. Here Alireza Firouzja got also a little bit with murder, because now at least he can protect his position with the move g6, kicking away the queen. And here Levon Aronian tried this attack with queen to h8, but not that he's losing the queen. It's a great tactic. Knight to c6, discovered attack on the king, and now he can grab the queen back. The evaluation is again equal. Now it's really time to battle this position. And as I said, Levon Aronian is not satisfied with the draw here. He has to win the position. Here knight to f3 was played by Alireza Firouzja. We have rook to d1, we have knight to c5, rook takes d8, and now bishop to f6. We have bishop takes f6, g takes f6, and now b6, kicking away the knight to c6, and now rook to d7. Let's stop and again evaluate the position. It's an equal position. Black has a slightly better pawn structure, of course. These are all isolated pawns. So as I said, Levon Aronian had his chances, missed his chances. Now I think only a blunder by black can make something happen here for white. If Alireza plays this endgame correctly, then again it's a drawish position. So rook to c4, we have king to h7, we have king to b2, knight to d2, simply attacking the rook, and here Alireza forces further trades of pieces. We have knight to g4, knight to d3, and here, of course, it's a good position now for black because we have finally grabbed the pawn. Knight takes f2, knight takes f2, and now knight to c6. Knight to e4, here Levon Aronian takes another pawn, but we can also take this pawn, and we have now a comfortable 3 versus 1 situation here on the king side. A4, knight to d5, we have knight to c3, and now knight to c6, pardon me. Here f6 was played, b4, and here simply creating a pass pawn, g5, h takes g5, f takes g5. This is now again an equal position, okay, but black, as I said, only needs to draw. King to d3, g4, we have a5, knight takes b4, a great move here by Levon Aronian because he wants, of course, to trade off the knights, and then he can take this pawn, and white is continuing the game only with the knight, and it's, of course, a draw, at least a draw for black. So here Levon Aronian played the move king to d4, which was sort of a funny move because, of course, you can take knight takes d4, but now after knight takes b4, after knight b takes a5, here we can maybe hang on to this position. It's a draw probably because we can simply place here something like knight to d4, and I'm not sure if black can promote this pawns to queen, but still it's at least a draw, as I said, for Alireza Firouzja because Levon Aronian has only the knight on the board, and it was a losing game now for Levon Aronian. So incredible stuff you have seen. It was really a complicated game with great tactical motifs. Not sure why Levon Aronian didn't see this move, but as I said, it was a tense game. The Caruana can be really sometimes this tactical battle. Most of the time it's a positional battle, but I'm not sure why is Alireza always getting into tactics. I'm sure that he is searching for tactics because he's such a player. He doesn't want to play the static positions, and Levon Aronian, I think, outplayed him in this battle, but lost the game eventually. And now Alireza Firouzja is on the 3rd place, which is a good thing. He is only 1 point behind Magnus Carlsen, who is in the lead now of this very nice tournament. We'll see now what will happen. This is really a great tournament so far, and I'm really looking forward to see what's going on. So, okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Great tactical battle. If you want to see more games from this tournament, check out my Altibox Norway Chess tournament coverage. Here is the link. And if you want to see the best chess games of all time, here is also the link to that series. And if you like my content, you can also subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.